AI, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
we call it. And there's a lot of fear, the fear we have of our relevancy for the future in the professional setting. I'm an optimist, so the glass is always half full for me. I don't want to mitigate or undermine the fear people have, but could my skill sets and my experiences add value in another arena? Technology and AI has opened up doors for so many that did not have access before.
What kind of future are you manifesting?
I see students in remote villages around the world that are able to receive an education because of technology. It takes time to adjust into finding yourself and a sense of belonging. The human connection is what relevant of our historical past, our present day, and our future. All of this evolution is still channeled through us. You have so much to offer this world, and don't forget that.
All right, Lakshmi. Thank you. Welcome to Human Future Podcast. Excited for our conversation. For listeners to know who is kind of in front of me, what is important for them to know about you?
So, hello everyone. Lakshmi Natarajan.
Yes.
And Lakshmi in the Hindu religion, hailing from India, is the goddess of wealth and good fortune. So I hope to bestow fortune for all my listeners here today to know about me. So I have had a 20 plus year corporate career. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an investor. And I really believe in cultivating community for the greater good. I'm a mother, and my most important thing that I am grateful for and blessed with in my life is so many people in my family and friend circle to love and grow with in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who are in the corporate career path, and also considering, or it's like a desirable state for them to have something of their own, like a business or something like that. Can you tell that story of your transition? How did that happen for you?
Sure. Thank you so much for asking that question. And it is, everyone always asks me the same question in the hindsight 2020 rule. But I would say, so my corporate journey has enabled me working with a lot of different big Fortune 500 companies, in addition to being at a consulting company, which is has the global presence. And so various different clients across industries.
Accenture, yeah?
Yes, Accenture. Yeah. So these experiences have enabled me to gain significant skill sets. Most importantly for me is the global component. Not only interacting with amazing people from the United States, but also around the world. And why I think this was a great experience, most importantly, not just all I've learned, is really the people I was able to engage with. And that is a huge part of education as well. In addition to the foundational academic environment and the functional professional environment is that human connection environment. So pivoting from that to, as an entrepreneur. So people say, well, you had teams. How is it being an entrepreneur? And I would say in some instances, it's still the same because you are still collaborating with others for success. You are still connecting with the client or customer to build something meaningful and help them gain impact. So the human component is core in my professional and life journey. As far as the pivot, I admire some people who have, they call it their day job and something else that they do on the side. I didn't have that. I had a lot of passions and interests. I've done a lot of volunteer work and mentoring, but I didn't have another project on the side. So in my exit from this amazing corporate career and the people I met, it was really I didn't want to wake up 20 years from now and wonder, what else is out there? It was this perspective on you only live one life. And after 20 years of these great diverse experiences across different companies, is there something else out there? Could my skill sets and my experiences add value in another arena? I became a mother as well, which gave me a lot of introspective and insight. But that's what really was my calling and my impetus for change. And this pivot was, is there something else out there? And why not pursue it now versus wondering 20 years from now about it?
Yeah, I like the perspective of looking at your, let's say, 80-year-old self and looking back into your life and focusing on, do you have any regrets around all of the decisions that you've made, and trying to minimize that, basically trying to minimize the amount of regrets that you might have when you're older for like what kind of decisions you've made along the way.
This word regret.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I think we all aspire in life not to have them, but reality is we will. So when I think of regret, hindsight again, you're always going to wonder, oh, I wish I did this differently. For example, using my voice earlier in my career. I'm definitely a talker. I'm an outgoing person, but I wasn't always empowered to speak up when there were things that weren't correct. Over the years, as I entered more leadership positions across these companies, I was able to bring others on a journey, uplift them, speak up when something wasn't right. I didn't start doing that. And so I admire this generation entering the workforce. They've kind of built with that level of empowerment. So I hope they can use their voice sooner. I wouldn't want to say it's a regret. It's just a lesson learned. And I'm glad that I'm still on that learning journey, but I'm able to do it now. But to your point on regret, the one thing in life I have realized, and advice to everyone is, I'm saying this in an optimistic way, but the years go by fast. Yeah. And you just never know what tomorrow will bring. We all plan for the future. I had 1-year plan, 3-year plans, 5-year plans, life plans, professional plans, financial plans, when I'm going to become a parent plan. I mean, you have all of these plans. I'm that personality. I've been trained to always build a plan. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that just happen in life that are not on that plan.
Yeah, 100%.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Are we resilient?
Yeah.
Can we pivot? Can we, find the silver lining in all of these experiences? So the regret I would not want to have is not having enough time with those that are important to me. Yeah. I think that's the one regret everyone has is, I wish I had more time to spend with this person or do this or see the world, whatever it is. Yeah. And I'm just making more of a conscious effort to invest whatever energy I have with all those that are important to me around the world, family, friends, customers, people I've worked with. And sometimes it's exhausting, but that is the one when you say regret, I don't want to have that regret because that's what my legacy would be. And the human connection is what is relevant of our historical past, our present day, and our future. It doesn't go away. Yeah. So that's one of the regrets I don't want to have. And I try to make decisions based around that.
I think there's also a relationship between regret and surrender. The more we can surrender, the less we're going to regret things don't go our way, for example. And one perspective that helps me to really embrace anything that happens to me or whatever decisions that I make, even looking back, sometimes you say, oh, this was not an optimal decision, is to recognize that all of us at every moment in time, in the past, in the future, in the present, are doing our best, with whatever resources we can have. Even though you might sometimes say when you're driving on the road and somebody cuts you off, they're definitely not doing their best. They're just like not a good person. But even then, they're just in the state of mind, and the state of their reality is in such a way that if you were in their shoes exactly, or like with the experiences, the life experiences, the mental framework, the perspective, the perception of reality, you would be doing the exact same thing because you would be doing your best also at that point.
Right. That's such a good perspective because sometimes when you feel that you've been mistreated, done wrong, disrespected, your immediate response, it's human nature. Yeah. Is to have some anger, like you just want to lash out. So looking at it in the lens that you said, you never really know where the other person is coming from. Yeah. Pausing for a minute, taking the time to collect how you're going to respond could really make a difference. I don't always do it perfectly.
100%.
I think I definitely do it better in the professional setting than I do it in my personal relationships. Yeah. And so that's something, to always work on is pause for a moment
Yeah.
and then respond to when things like this happen.
Yeah. Even towards yourself, not to judge yourself for something that you didn't do well or you made a mistake, is to just kind of let it go and say, I've learned the lesson. Next time I'll have more awareness when I'm making a similar decision. Hopefully I'll make a better decision, and not to like beat yourself down for making that type of mistake.
Right.
You know?
And look, I'm going to be transparent and say I've made the same mistake more than once.
Of course.
We're human.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be so introspective when I'm seeing the world from, like an airplane and the 30,000 foot view. When you're living it in the moment, we all do make some of the same mistakes over and over again. 100%. And it's okay. I mean, sometimes it can cost and have consequences.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think it's more about, do you want to try and do better? Mm-hmm. And then figuring out, well, how can you?
Yeah.
And like striving for that better person that you could become tomorrow. It doesn't always happen overnight.
Yeah.
So it's also giving yourself permission to do that. And we're like hardest critics, which is a good thing. When we have self-reflection, I think that's a good thing. We should self-reflect, and not just how we see ourselves, how others see us.
Yeah.
Because it may not always be the same thing. So I've given myself permission to sometimes make the same mistake more than once, but recognize that over time, I want to improve and I am trying to improve. And also, sometimes it can result in consequences, and recognizing that as well.
Yeah, I think it's all around awareness. The more awareness we have around be as present as possible, the less of those types of decisions or behaviors are going to come through, because you are in a lot more control of how you show up, how you act, and things. And, it's interesting also, oftentimes, let's say we have some kind of trigger. It's maybe like some kind of trauma from the childhood or whatever. And then whatever something happens in your life, you behave suboptimally, you act out or something, you get triggered. And then later on, a couple of weeks, a couple of days later, whatever, you reflect on it and say, I overreacted. So now you have that awareness, but there's a time gap between the event happening and your awareness appearing. And as you're evolving yourself and you're expanding your awareness and you're working at your self-realization, you're bringing that point of realization closer and closer to the moment when it's actually happening. And once you have that, you have control over, because then you can also recognize even before it starts to happen, like, oh, here it comes. And then you have to have a way for you to pull yourself out of that triggered state, and so you have a lot more power over those things. Yeah.
And I think to your example on like childhood, I came to the US as a young girl from India, and it was America, the land of opportunity. Yeah. And we left India, where we lived in a joint family. We were surrounded by so many people. To come with my parents were very hardworking. So it was a lot for them. And things that we didn't talk about. I was just told to, for example, do well in school and respect your elders. Yeah. And that's what my older brother and I did. And we did our best. But there was a lot of things happening in the school where we didn't want to bring our parents any additional stress or trauma. We like to talk about these things, and we were doing well in school and we were respecting our elders. And so there were things that were not good that were happening, and we had a lot of fear in speaking up for ourselves. So when you're talking about, how do you shift that culture, right? It shifted for me over the years. America became my home. It takes time to adjust into finding yourself and a sense of belonging. It was definitely hard the early years, but that's for so many people. My story is not unique, and I give my parents so much credit because they raised us with so much love, encouragement, and support. Yeah. But we couldn't necessarily talk about certain things in our household culturally. I think some of the introspect and doing things differently may not have happened in the moment, but it's happening now. And I think that's where we need to know it's happening in a lifetime where mistakes I've made and times I didn't speak up or times I wasn't able to empower others. I can do that now through my children, but even more importantly, in my work environment as well. When I see young leaders entering, women, people of color, and when there's things happening in society for anybody, not just those audiences, but for anyone, through mentoring and guidance, they're defining tomorrow better than I did 20 years ago. That makes me happy, right? And that's what I'd like to see. And one of the things I always learned is, as a leader, when one of your direct reports is ready for your job, that is success. I was never threatened or scared of that.
Really?
And rightfully so, people are.
Yeah.
But that means I've done the best. When they win, I win. Like, we win together. So it's this concept of, I always focus on uplifting others in whatever capacity you can.
Love it. Yeah. So before this interview, we had a little call, and I asked you about your superpower. And I think you said something about cultural bridge or cultural connector. Can you describe what that means to you, and why do you call yourself that?
Sure. So I think actually, it wasn't me who defined that word. It was part of one of the masterminds that I'm a part of. And our leader had defined this cultural connector word. I gravitated to it.
Yeah.
So it is, I guess, two words coming together. Let's talk about the cultural component as well. So I've been very blessed in my lifetime to have traveled to over 60 countries, both personally and professionally. It's been one of my life's passions that actually started when my grandfather, when we came to the United States, I was able to have so much time with him in those early years. And he always focused on this concept of a global education. And it may not be a lot taught in the school system, but I remember he gave me a globe and an atlas. I don't know for your listeners out there who remembers the atlas, but it was a book that had maps around the world. And so it was about, you will always feel like you belong when you see yourself around, like, as a global citizen. Very early concepts in time. I was still in elementary school, but it was really learning about the world and how to connect to cultures and the history of that country, the culture of that country, the food, the people, and how that enables you to every day operate differently. Didn't really understand much of it was, but he used to quiz us on capitals of the world and things.
Nice.
And so that became the cultural component, and it fueled, and I didn't know this then, but it fueled my desire to think about the world and ultimately say, I want to see more of the world. So I grew up traveling a lot to India via either Europe or Middle East. There was always a stopover. And so always wanted to see those countries, had some stops at airports and one-day trips. And that then fueled to later what my career and some of the personal things I've done in traveling became, and something that my husband and I share, which we do with our families as well. So that's the cultural component, is how do you really learn about the civilization that exists across all these countries around the world and be able to connect that to what you do and really transform broader opportunities. It's very relevant today as we're in a global economy. So that's the cultural component. Now, the connector component. Connection to me is collaboration. Connection to me is investing the time in the human relationship. Because ultimately, no matter whether you're an entrepreneur, a corporate executive, a solopreneur, a small business owner, whatever line of work you're in and who you're serving, there's always a customer, a client, a consumer, whatever C word we want to use, and a lot of collaboration that, whether it's a formal collaboration or informal, you still have this human connection. So it became that was my superpower, as a connector. I may not always be the one ultimately, doing the work in some place or part of a relationship that grows, but I'm able to meet so many people and connect the dots for them to lead to greater good. So it's the cultural component. And when I say people, I'm just not considering the U.S. In my travels, in my voluntary efforts, professional efforts, I'm able to meet people in different parts of the world and bridging those gaps. So that's where the name Cultural Connector comes from Wisdom Council, which is the mastermind I'm a part of. But it's not a branding or a job I do, and I say that in quotes. It's who I am, and I'm able to see the influence and impact it has in my life overall, professionally and personally.
Yeah, I consider myself a bridge, a connector. As reflecting back since I was a kid, I would always be kind of serve that role kind of indirectly. I would be friends with people who weren't friends between each other, and I would be friends with them, and they would trust me. And same with different ideas, like there are like contradicting ideas. Now, one of them is like technology and spirituality, and that's actually what this podcast is about. deeply tapped into both, and I see value in bridging the gaps and bridging those disconnected things and creating a more unified, a bigger organism of different things. In fact, thinking about where is humanity going and what is the next stage of human evolution, and maybe there are multiple steps in between, but the one that I see we're going towards is where we are a lot more interconnected, where there are ideally no borders, no countries, in a similar way how our body consists of trillions of cells, and each cell is like a little human performing their own little function. And the internet that we now have, the global internet, is the nervous system that's connecting all of the cells, and they're all serving its greater, like a super organism that now has its own pattern of behavior, its own whole existence, and that's what humans are in the process of creating, this like new super organism.
Ooh. That is very interesting how you explain that, especially in the landscape that we're in with AI, artificial intelligence, that we call it. And there's a lot of fear that is instilled, myself included, right? I didn't grow up with it. I grew up in a land before we had computers. We went to libraries to do research, encyclopedias, which people don't know these days. So it's the fear we have of the unknown, the fear we have of our relevancy for the future in the professional setting, I would say, right? Because we need jobs. People need to work, and their civilization's dependent on the workforce. And so to me, how you explained it is, it's still, all of this evolution is still channeled through us.
Yes.
And we've gone through it for decades, at least the decades that I've been on Earth. We just always didn't see it. It was just naturally happening.
Yes.
And so how can we, one of the things I'm even working on for myself is removing the fear, embracing curiosity. And that's something we see innate in children. They're curious before they're fearful. They'll, kids who can't swim will jump into a pool, right? Because they are just so curious and excited for this unknown. That curiosity to learn, that excitement.
Yeah.
Can we find that in us? Right? And it has to be both, the curiosity, excitement, not curiosity through fear, but really curious to learn. And I think we'll find we've all have the agility to learn. We've all learned many things over the years. We fail to recognize how much we've all transformed in our careers, in life, how much learning we've had. So to your point in thinking of that, our human body and transforming all of these things through us, can we channel some of the fear that exists in the future of the workforce? And it's very real. I don't want to just, I'm an optimist. So the glass is always half full for me. I don't want to just take that, but it is we have evolved. It's the foundational lens of, look at how much we've evolved over the last 20 years. We didn't have smartphones, as an example. And so those are types of things that we just need to recognize. That was all evolution. This is the next phase, going back to curiosity and excitement to learn the role we play in that.
Yeah. And speaking of fear, I think there's an opportunity for most of us, all of us, to change our relationship with fear, because evolutionary fear was extremely useful. It kept us alive. There was a physical danger that we had to really have fear to protect us. But now we don't have that anymore, but we still have that really strong fear feeling that preventing us from acting. We're either freezing or backing off, right? And now we interpreting something that's completely not dangerous in the physical sense, but we interpret it as real and as dangerous as like a tiger in front of you, maybe even more, because you're a lot more aware of all of the senses, and we're overthinking, and it's just the fear just swallows you, right? And I think there's an opportunity to reframe it and say fear is just the signal that is very useful, but it shouldn't be preventing us from acting in the physical or mental space. We should still be moving forward.
Right.
It's just to tell us, hey, there are some guardrails that you maybe should be paying attention to.
Correct.
But that shouldn't necessarily prevent you from going near it. By you saying there's an edge over there shouldn't prevent you from going over there.
Right.
The fear you could still be present,
right.
But it shouldn't freeze you, And,
right.
Yeah.
And to your point, I loved what you said. Everyone has fear. By all means, I have my fears, right? And depending on where you live and the society you're a part of, the opportunities for work, some people fear that they may not have food next week, right? Like that is real. And that is impacting billions.
Yeah.
It's a lot when you think of this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to mitigate or undermine the fear people have, but I will say this. We all have our own respective fears, but as it relates to AI and the guardrails and boundaries we need to establish, I do fear some of it for the kids and what they're exposed to or see. But it's also like that's happened already with the access to information that existed before AI, right? Everything has already happened. It's just moving faster at a greater pace. So we also have to operate in it differently. And I'm sharing this because it's also, we have to think of the positives, like going back to the optimist, but technology and AI has opened up doors for so many that did not have access before.
Yeah.
I see students in remote villages around the world, including the United States, remote cities as well, that are able to receive an education because of technology.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of inhabitants there to become teachers and things like that. And through technology, they're able to still receive education. Before they did not have those opportunities. So there's a lot of positive we should see but yet operate with how can we, to your point, draw some boundaries and guardrails. And we're building this future.
Yeah.
Like it's a human that, if I'm not mistaken, has built some of these AI things. We're building the AI as we go. I think the fear is like, we don't know what it could be. Yeah. But you mentioned like a tiger, for example. We have to have governance more as a community and society and for ourselves to ensure that we're not creating a tiger.
Yeah.
And not that tigers are bad, but I understand the predator component of it, but some think of it more as like, how do we operate in this ecosystem we're creating so that it helps society? But it's unknown. And I think that's okay. There's a lot of things that were unknown that we forget about history sometimes, but there is unknown, but we have an opportunity here. So let's focus our efforts on this opportunity is how I'm trying to operate every day and the audiences I'm able to connect with in sharing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, today, the fear is mainly connected to you projecting something into the future. It's not a physical present danger, right? And so the projection into the future makes you fear of something. That just means that you're focusing on the outcome that is not desirable, potentially death related, right? Like, oh, I can die, and that's why I fear a particular thing.
Right.
But you get to decide where you're shifting, where you putting your attention and where you're putting your energy to what kind of future are you manifesting. That's partially what this podcast is about, right? Like talk about desirable visions of the future. Yes, there are all kinds of things that are going in the world that could end up in a very undesirable state, but it's our responsibility to put as much of our own attention and action into the world to maximize the chances of the desirable future to actually manifest.
Right. No, it's a very good point. To me, again, going back to like society and collaboration, we don't need to do this on an island. Yeah. And so how can we identify those opportunities to connect at a greater level, because the future is dependent on it.
So you focus a lot these days on investing in tech startups and generally being in tech-minded entrepreneur investor. How do you think about future of tech? Like, how is that? Yeah. So tell me, what's your vision of?
Sure. So for your tech audience that's grown up in tech, I did not.
Yeah.
I did work at technology companies on the business side, and then I had a project that was on the cloud for Oracle. That was one of my projects. So I had to learn a lot about tech. And so I'm still on a learning journey. I've entered this space of working in the startup ecosystem over the last 1+ years. Yeah. I'm like, good. My brain can still learn, maybe not as fast as it once did, but I'm still learning. What I have to also recognize, I can't be someone else. I have to know who I am. I'm a strategist. I'm an operator. I've gotten into the business. I've led teams. So let me stick to that and help them, because that's what I know well. And so when I engage with founders, and I meet with everybody, because I gain so much energy from talking to someone. I learn from them. Hopefully they learn something from me. But what I focus on with them on is what they're building. Because you can have amazing innovation and it's relevant for the market. Yeah. But does it connect to a customer? Who is your customer? Is it very clear on who your customer is? What products they use today? Yeah. Why is this making their life easier, faster, better? Or is it doing something different that didn't exist before? Like really getting into that mindset of your respective audience. And so there's amazing innovation out there, but sometimes those companies struggle to connect it to a customer in whatever capacity. That's where I can help them, because getting in deep into that. Then the concept of collaboration and partnerships. Even if you are a founder, you don't need to be on an island to connect what you're building to an audience. There's people out there and ecosystems out there that have that audience. Yeah. Collaborating with them, being open to those partnerships. You also have to start thinking profitably. Because if you're spending more money than you're making, the longevity of the company could go into question about the teams you've employed, the people that are dependent on you, and how can you be more effective in your costs and your operating model? So I help them with that as well, which also becomes more attractive to the investor community. They, as you scale as a company, they also want to see you're thinking of the holistic picture here. And so that is the arena I help. And I've recognized, like, let me stay to what I know. So it's really on understanding the customer component and understanding the operating model, cost efficiency component to turn into profitability. So those two areas I like to provide guidance to startups. Yes, everybody's seeking capital. Yes. But it is also about getting your business ready for the capital, because the money alone is not going to take you to the impact you're envisioning to make. So it's been an interesting journey, and I love that I can learn in it. I'm open to feedback and everything, but that's what, going back to the career and pivots and stuff, I didn't envision this 3 years ago. At all. I'm like, oh, wow, how cool. Like, there's people out there building amazing things. There's investors who are helping them. I did not see myself being one of them. And so again, following your path and your growth is not linear. Growth can come in many different ways. And so, but going back to my 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, this was not part of the plan. And I've been a lot more fluid in my thinking of growth and being able to invest my time and energy in areas that I see growth and building something out of it.
And on the topic of like choosing the partners, the client, the startups that you're working with, there's so many out there, more and more every day. How do you choose whom to work with, that you're aligned with? Like, I don't know, like what's your process? So good question. I don't think I have a specific, like, this is my investment thesis yet. The investors I work with are investing. Some are, for example, only in AI-driven businesses across industries. Others want AI plus, like, physical assets, like what else is out there. Others want more traditional businesses in which maybe AI can be embedded to ensuring their growth and efficiency. So when you meet so many people who have different investment theses, I'm like, they're all relevant for the future, right? Some only want AI, some want traditional businesses. And so I look at it as just engaging with everyone and then seeing where there's a match. So I haven't necessarily set, yes, the VC I work for has some specific industries, but sometimes there's a new industry that we recognize.
this is amazing what they're doing. There's investors we have on our team that could be interested, right? So I would like to be more agile in that thinking and more open-minded and agnostic in the industries, rather really focusing on, could there be an opportunity to help them? And not just through me, through so many people I know. So that's worked better, and it's enabled me to open up and collaborate with other investors and family offices and private equity firms at different capacities, right? Because this is all about, again, going back to like collaboration and helping all the individuals I meet.
Yeah. Is there a particular sector that you recognize that invested maybe, and you would like to see more investment go in there, or maybe more demand for this kind of thing, product or service? What would that be? Yeah,
absolutely. So, I'd say two industries. One is the amount of healthcare innovation that exists in the market. A lot of it is healthcare tech. Some of it is healthcare related to things for patients, physicians, hospitals. And not all are revenue generating when I see them. They're pre-seed, as they say, right? So before they've actually put an MVP market or they have some beta. How do we bring that innovation to life through it? They do need investment to build, scale, and grow. And healthcare is, I'm passionate about working in healthcare. It's been an industry that I've worked in, and it's an industry that still needs major transformation and can impact lives. So that's an area that I would like to understand more of. How can we look at some of that innovation with different analyses for the future when they don't have revenue yet, and truly help them getting there? But my big advice to the healthcare industry is truly think about your customer. Because I'm not sure all of them understand that. They love what they're building, and it's some amazing things, and I know they're going to make impact, but ultimately, how is it connecting to the customer and what their day-to-day is, and how is this helping them serve a better patient, helping them do things faster, like having that concept. The other area that I'm very passionate about is the future of travel, hospitality, global citizen education. So thinking about the world, I think, tourism is a huge industry for so many, I'd say all countries, and it's a part of their economy. And so how could we continue to promote the future of hospitality? What does it look like? What is the innovation in that industry that is helping connect travelers to that market? I guess we can call it global ed tech or innovation in that, but how can we bring like country education that you gain from these amazing global experiences and bring it into the homes of people who have or who may not be able to travel? It doesn't matter, but irrespective of that is how can we bring it in the homes, right? So that is just another passion of mine, and I'm hoping to meet more companies in that space. That's what I was building. Cool. It's called Travel Plus Them, and I built it a couple of years ago, and it did have, I was scaling, had some impact, was able to travel to some countries, have a global education program that reached a few hundreds of people, spoke at different conferences, but I didn't necessarily scale, but I didn't look at that as a fail.
Yeah, of course.
And it was more about, it was my journey to be a founder and understand what it takes and be content with the impact that I've made that will still last because there's others doing it. So hopefully I inspired someone to see that and they're taking it to the next level.
Yeah. On the topic of bringing it into the homes, I don't know to what extent you've dabbled with like virtual reality, like whole industry. Yeah. I've been paying close attention. Like I've tried all kinds of headsets and things, and I'm kind of excited about it, not from the perspective of us spending less time in physical spaces and connecting with humans to humans like this in physical spaces, but for the opportunity for those who don't have the privilege of going and traveling and experiencing all of this, having a very immersive, very meaningful experience where they do feel like they're gaining a new perspective.
Absolutely.
Right.
So when you think of the U.S. alone, about 40% do not have passports. So unfortunately, they probably haven't left the country. Hopefully we see a change for that. But to that point, that was one of the ideas that Travel Plus Them was focusing on, is the concept of gamification and virtual learning. And creating just these immersive experiences where you can as a child, visit the pyramids of Giza virtually, see yourself riding the camels and building the education around your age group. So for a 5-year-old, it's one level. For a 10-year-old, it's another. Eventually meeting a child from there and playing with them, talking to them, communicating with them, sharing, and yours as well, sharing your foods at home, sharing your culture. So I don't look at it as one-sided. I look at it as just multi-dimensional learning. And it does exist in other gaming models where you are remotely connecting with someone and playing. And there's a lot of it promoting STEM advancement, which is amazing as well. So yes, I think there's a huge opportunity there. And I'm sure there's many people who've thought about it and are building it. I'd love to see more of it and see it in market, but it's an opportunity out there. And it's not just for those who live in America. It's the opportunity for those in all these other countries as well to gain these experiences and interject. So while we're many, we can become one and become a smaller world.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit and talking about the topic that's close and dear to both of our hearts is parenthood. Now being a dad for the last 2 weeks for me, and then you have 2 daughters, 9 and 10.
Yes.
Can you speak to that? Like, how do you see what is a desirable future that you want to create for them in relationship to their lifestyle, technology, AI, healthcare, travel? Kind of paint that picture for me that you would love to see for them.
Sure. Thank you for asking, and congratulations to you. So I will say that Parenthood is the unwritten autobiography that you will write for you and the ecosystem that you're building. So there's so many books out there and people who have phenomenal advice, and I truly benefited from it. But ultimately, you're this new human that's come into this 8 billion people world is built differently. So you are it is your learning journey. As far as what I would want for my daughters, I think it actually evolves over time because society is moving quickly. I will say that. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm from India. And I am proud of a lot of our cultural values, but more importantly, because it's an opportunity to connect with other cultures and communities and take the best of what's out there and have my kids experience that. And, the more and more I think about it, I think about careers, what kind of jobs I would want them to get and the path I want to go to universities. Yes, that is like the typical, you want your children to, do more than I've done and making sure that they can see me as a woman working and building something and see my husband and his career as well and all the people that they're exposed to. But at the end of the day, it is their path. And my parents brought me to this country as a young girl and worked so hard, and I'm living their dreams. So I already know that my kids will. Just being existent on this earth is the manifestation of our ancestors, right? And so I think at times maybe I should, I'm honestly just keeping it to the basics of being curious, respectful, empathetic, compassionate humans can go a long way.
Yeah.
And obviously, I am a big believer in education, and the brick and mortar system has worked for us. I admire those who are educating, in the school systems, all their coaches and activities, all of those educators as well, with all of the things that they do. They're all contributing their time to educate with me, right? I'm not the only educator they have. I'm definitely an important one, but I am reliant on a community and ecosystem. So with the foundation of that education that they're gaining across all of these things with parenting and community is, what do you become of that in your life? To me, to say pick a career, to like career fairs at school, it's not what it used to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Doctor, lawyer, accountant, public servant, educator, all amazing careers. There's careers I don't even know what they are. When you think of like a content creator. That didn't exist 20 years ago.
Right.
Even 10 years ago, it was just building. Look at it now. It's a wonderful career. And, in the coding space, there's different jobs. And so I think looking beyond the traditional engineering and doctor and lawyer mindset, which are great careers as well, and they're always going to be needed, I would want them to be open and explore things. I will be honest and say I do believe in a strong, reading foundation, science foundation, and STEM overall. I think those are strong curriculums too. We shouldn't run away from them because they're foundations to other things. Yeah. But global education is a curriculum too. It may not be formally taught in that capacity, but it is something that makes them relevant in whatever career they choose, that they're learning to interact with other people. So I leave you with this. It's a long way of saying I want them to be givers. I want them to help others in need. And I've seen that already happening in some of our efforts and volunteering and just helping others in school and receiving help as well. So being a giver and just someone who's open to feedback and willingness and leveraging whatever the brain that they have and the skills that they have in whatever career they choose, but also recognizing that these are decisions that they have to make. I am here and I will support them through it. Yeah. But they have to respect that there is a system and structure. And we have to, respect that as well. I want them to break barriers, but they need some foundation to do that. So those are the things. So I can't say what career they're going to have. I really don't know. Yeah. I think I'm seeing one of my daughters leaning towards medicine. The other one is, she said, I don't know yet, but some sort of a businesswoman. What does that mean? There's like dozens of careers amongst that, but that's what they say now. They're going to evolve. That's going to change. So I think of can they be the connector? Because that's going to help them in whatever they decide to do.
Yeah, we shouldn't really be imposing. I'm sure you have the same view on what path they want to pursue. Yes, we want to set the guardrails and make sure they don't fall off the path, right? Or the platform, and then they choose where to navigate, how to navigate the platform of human experience and life. And speaking of a desirable human future for just the humanity overall, what are some aspects of that you definitely would like to see that maybe are not there yet? The type of reality that we're currently living, we're not in that state, but you see it would be nice, let's say, to for me, for example, one aspect of it is we spending a lot more time for self-reflection, for self-realization, expanding our awareness, connecting deeper to one another, gathering in communities and connecting to nature, being more evolved and conscious beings, while at the same time being technologically advanced, using the latest, greatest tools in our disposal to up-level ourselves and to continue to evolve. Basically, that's what I'm striving for. That's the future that I'm contributing to. Is there any aspect of it that you're more excited about and you want to share? Yeah.
So many different things, but I will say that we all need to be community leaders and want to give. Because it's the greatest gift in life is to give. And what I mean by that is whether it means to give to another person, whether it means to give to the environment, right? How can we save this earth and planet and give in that way? Because we're all sharing the space together. And so I would say it's what I would want the future to think about is you're not giving to receive. That's not an expectation that I hope people have. I mean, we're all human. I guess I get it. I've had it as well, but I've had so much more relief when I knew just to give because it brings me happiness. And I would hope everyone thinks that, because that power of giving, I do believe in good karma and things, but even more than that, to impact someone's life for the better, or a group of someone's lives in any which way, anything. It's not something so grandiose and big. It could be something small, but give your insights, share your mind. And that could be through posting insights. And you never know who connects. All it takes that one person to read it and say, wow, this helped me think about something differently. Or I didn't know that. Thank you. So I think we should view giving as, it's not just money. It's not just necessarily all your time, and it's not just formally volunteer and philanthropic efforts, which are of course great as well, but just putting something out in the world, and social media enables to put that out more, is being able to give. So I think it could really help a lot. And I will also say in the professional space, for example, a lot of different generations coming together. And I do work in environments that are big corporate, and you see people who are, closer to the retirement age, and then you see the workforce coming in after college. Two different generations and a few generations in the middle. And so let us view that as an opportunity with the wisdom that has been gained through our life experiences to bestow upon that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit of a threat, right? When you have someone who's rising to the top, who's a lot younger than you, who's becoming your manager. That's reality. And it's okay, because there's still value you can bring. So going back to that giving concept can really help in areas that I'm seeing are a big challenge in the professional setting, even in the personal setting as well. So when I put my head around that, it helps me alleviate the fears, the concerns that I have. And I always share that with others. And I think it bridges some of the gaps that exist. So I'm hoping that giving remains in humanity, and there's many different ways to give.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So maybe in closing, if there's anything else that you would like to share for listeners to know, maybe a little bit about you, or maybe projects you're working on, resources you want to point people to, anything else, and kind of closing remarks.
Sure. Thank you. So I know we briefly talked earlier about, the companies I've worked for, and I would say that's absolutely has been a great foundation. I would really encourage for people out there and who are figuring out what should their career be on that side. No one right path. It doesn't, again, going to have to be linear. Being open-minded to any path that it takes you on, and there's no one right path. And so that's something I'd want to tell the younger listeners out there, and they all can serve a great way to building your foundation. In the other sense, as far as who I am, I think, and we talked a little bit about parenthood and how it evolves you. That generation is critical for us as well. We need to consider it's whether, not everyone becomes a parent. That's great, but they're still inspiring generations. And I don't know if they connect those dots. So you are always inspiring someone, and the younger generation needs it because they're our future to make it better. So I'm just I see things differently and wanting to do more outreach to that generation. I've failed. I've had setbacks. I have them all the time. It's normal. I make, we talked about, same mistakes sometimes over again, unintendedly, but it happens. And everything's not always rainbows. So it becomes, the resiliency through the storm, and the storms will come. It's just a part of life. Yes. Build the resiliency to get through it. Build your support system. Seek other help that you need outside of your support system. There's no shame in investing in yourself to get you better, to make you more whole, make you happier, whatever it is. So I think it's just being able to do that. Is what I would want to tell the next generation, something I've learned in my journey. And I am just grateful to be able to have this voice, to be on this amazing podcast with you and connect with so many of your listeners. It's just be open to what's life. You're living it every day. So don't let the past be your fuel for the future and the building blocks, all of it, the good, the bad, everything. You're building towards a future, and it's what's made you who you are today. And being able to define this future, not necessarily in a rigid way, of course, have a plan and work towards it and dream big, but also bounce back with passion. When things are not always in that plan, collaborate across to achieving it, but just recognize you have so much to offer this world, and don't forget that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi, again for coming here and talking to us. And thank you, listeners, for sticking around all the way until the end. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did, and I see you on the next one.